Been walking around retail, just taking in the view. And you know what I noticed? You know what you don't see a lot of these days? These guys. Remember us? Your friendly dragonkin. Everyone singing songs of joy about how great dragon riding was. But it doesn't look like you're that into dragon riding anymore. Seems like any mount will do, as long as it pulses. Poor sweet dragons thought it was something special, but it turns out you just like the thrusting. You mount whores. Just make sure to tell whatever mount you're pumping all your vigor into these days, it's referred to as dragon riding. And you can all remember that. Remember when the retail community was the WoW community? Now, if someone tells you they play World of Warcraft, you gotta ask them which version they play. But it's not just divided categorically, like different types of WoW. It's also divided demographically. I mean, the game's been around for 20 years. So you got the old hats like me, who now we're older, got family and stuff, so we're just rolling around trying to have some fun, relive the glory days, do a little fishing, do some dungeons, whatever, and then we're out. Then you've got the guys beneath us who came up playing this pretty seriously, a lot of them. And it's very serious for them, right? And they get together with their warband buddies in Discord and they go crush keys or PvP or whatever. But they're pretty serious about it. And they like the challenge, they like the competitive content, and they like to do it over and over and just kick ass. And then you've got the whole Twitch community like a plague of locusts, just going from game to game and just devouring all in their path. I mean, in some ways, the classic communities and retail communities aren't even playing for the same thing. But yet, in some ways, they are. Because the classic community likes to always do this thing where it was simpler and it's more immersive. And yeah, it is until you open up Trade Chat and you see all the services being provided. I mean, dude, the amount of RMT going on in Classic is insane. And everywhere you look, from the chat at the Scarlet Monastery all the way to Ironforge and Stormwind, just turn it on and you'll see just services and gold sales. I mean, it is just so in your face. And the moment you take a look at the auction house prices, you're going to see how much real money trading is going on. And the classic community still likes to act like it's more wholesome than the retail community, right? They're happy to give retail players shit for buying a $90 auction house mount, but they don't have shit to say about the 2,000 gold Edgemasters gauntlet sitting on the auction house, right? Somebody's buying that too. So this is in both versions of World of Warcraft now. Services, gold buying, all that. It's just part of the game. And it sucks for a lot of people, really hate it. I get you, but I don't know what Blizzard can even do about it now. And I always have this fantasy that there's this version of World of Warcraft that they could build that would draw from the strengths of every version and combine into one Uber Warcraft that would bring us all back together again. But that's just a fantasy, right? Isn't it? The truth is, we wouldn't even agree on what the strengths and weaknesses of the game are. Since Shadowlands, my whole thing has been they need to just bring this thing down, collapse it, redo it, recode it from the ground up. There needs to be a WoW 2, and we just take the best elements or what we think are the best elements from each version of WoW and make a new Uber WoW. And that's going to bring the community together. That's my fantasy. And in some ways, I actually believe there is a version of WoW out there that could bring a lot of people back together again. But I can't see any evidence at all that the devs have any plans on doing that. It seems like they're quite happy with this kind of World of Warcraft net they've set up that could catch a lot of different types of players with different versions of WoW, and they can all have their own unique vision, and then you just relaunch them. You change up Classic a bit, you fix up some specs or whatever, and now you have Classic Anniversary Plus Fresh Plus, right? You can just keep relaunching it over and over, and it seems like some portion of the community's really happy with that. And they've got the retail recipe down. New island, new dungeons, new raid, rinse, repeat. A patch comes around, new zone, new seasons, new raid, and then we're on to the next expansion, and that's just the formula now. and we just keep it kicking. But I got to tell you, as someone who's been rolling around retail, and to be honest, let's just be fair. Obviously, the numbers are down right now. Retail's been out for a while. There's been the classic Annie launch, which pulled a lot of people out of retail, including me for a while. A lot of retail players that are still playing are just waiting to come back for the new patch. I get it. Okay, so I understand that the numbers are going to be down right now. However, considering it's only a 0.1 patch, I mean, this drop-off feels dramatic. When you're out in the world, it feels empty. I mean, really empty. And I don't know if that's just design. Like, if they just designed the world that just the way you fly around and zip around from shore to shore, you're really kind of just flying most of the time. So, you know, if I show up at a boss or something, there will be other players, but we kind of just hop in a group real quick, destroy the boss, and then say thank you and leave. I mean, if you're feeling really outgoing, you might drop a toy down or cheer or something like that. But then everybody just goes about their business and they're up in the air again. It just, you do not feel like you're in a world full of other adventurers. You feel like a superhero that just flies down and like sees a problem from the sky like Superman. You fly down, blow everything up in the region, and then you hop back in the sky again. And that's just kind of how you approach retail. You're a superhero that just goes around blasting the world. But you know, I gotta tell you, coming back to retail from Classic, it's not all bad. I mean, the immersion aspect is terrible, but you know, you get to put on your nice comfy transmog. I mean, transmog is amazing, and it's one of my favorite things about retail. It is kind of cool in Classic. Your gear kind of scales up, and you look like kind of an average soldier for a lot of the time when you're leveling. I really like that in Classic. You don't look over the top. Well, sometimes I think the transmogs get a little over the top in retail, and the fantasy is just overly done. I can appreciate some nice low fantasy armor sometimes. However, I'm not such a big fan of wearing my best-in-slot cloth gear. The Classic community loves some best-in-slot cloth for a paladin, but I'm just not with that. So there's times when I would really like to be able to transmog because the cloth shoulders just aren't selling the T-Mog. You know, they're really crimping me up. And so you come back to retail, you slap on your sexy T-Mog. Another thing I get to do is be a good tank as a prop paladin. Matter of fact, some might say it's the best tank right now. And it's an amazing spec. Flying around like Captain America. And can we talk about Divine Toll? I mean, all of Shadowlands was worth it for Divine Toll alone. That's how amazing it is. And it's a very powerful, much needed AoE heal as Holy. And it's pretty cool as a ret paladin. But as a protection paladin, Divine Toll is one of the greatest abilities in the game. It is a miracle ability. Just so much fun to use and just so badass. And now the shields all cause burning. I mean, this prop pally is just awesome. I love to go into those time walking dungeons and just wreck shop on the prop pally. But when we talk about the strengths of retail, playing a prop paladin on retail versus playing it on classic is just a crazy different experience. And it's a lot less tedious. But at the same time, look at the differences in footage. Look at retail here. Now some classic. Back into retail.
Interrupt.
One more hit of classic. And right there you can see the problem. How are you going to bridge these worlds? These communities in some ways aren't even looking for the same experiences. Hey, look, I get it. Everybody's happy in the version of World of Warcraft that they like the best. And, you know, it seems to be working. It got the subs back up. It's what's good for the company. I just think it sucks, okay? That's all. I can't miss the days that the entire community was together. Huh? Y'all don't miss those? Wasn't it pretty magical, just that amount of community? Times change, I get it. It is what it is. We're here now, and this is the way it's going to be. So grab your favorite flavor of WoW and get to sucking it down. That's great. I'm just talking about how much I think it sucks that we're not all together. It makes me sad. I miss that level of community. No matter what they do with retail or Classic Plus or whatever, there's just always going to be some portion of the community that prefers the other version for whatever reasons, right? So it's never going back in the box again. And I get that. But I got to tell you, it feels like we had a breakup before I even understood how far we were apart. I mean, I'm like, hey, there's lots of compromises we could make here on both sides to bring this game into, close in on being a little something for everybody. The issue is the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You think that you can come in here and grab the strengths of each game and make a game that would unite the community again, but the reality is, in trying to please everyone, you very likely make no one happy. And then what if it's a catastrophic flop? And it would have been better to keep the retail formula going for the retail players and just keep refreshing up Classic and launching it again over and over. And maybe that's the future now. Okay, and that's fine. I accept that fate, but it breaks my heart. And I can't help. There's like this desperate hope within me that there's a version of WoW, a vision of WoW that could unite us together again, and we could come together as the WoW community once more. But maybe that's all just a pipe dream, and this is just how it's going to be, and this is what it's got to be for the success of World of Warcraft, and that's what we want most of all. Just walking around, reminiscent of the good old days, like old men like to do. Whatever version of WoW you're in, I hope you're having a blast. Looking forward to the new content coming out soon. I'll see y'all out there. Oklahoma out.